Hello and welcome back to the Solo RolePlayers Podcast. I am very excited and just a little bit nervous today to bring you my first play of The Forbidden Lands. Now, this is one of those games that was sitting in my cart for a very long time, and probably about a year, I kind of put off buying it because I figured, do I really need another fantasy setting? Since that time, though, I've heard more and more people talk about just how fantastic it is, how different it feels. A lot of talk about the stronghold mechanic, which I haven't even read yet, but I'm excited to get involved in that. And I put out a poll on Reddit recently asking which game should I play next, and Forbidden Lands came up. I've also been told by my friend Thomas from over at Board Games with Thomas that it is his favorite RPG. So we're going to have a go. Now, this is certainly the most rules-heavy RPG that I've pulled off my shelf for one of these just get playing type things, and I must admit I have spent longer than I normally do in preparing for this one. I've got the starter set, so I've got the beautiful big map. I've had that lying on my desk for a couple of days, and I've just been sort of coming past, and after doing my initial flick through and establishing a scene, which I'll talk about in a second, I have just gone through and made my character, glanced through the rules. I've made up a couple of companions as well to try and help keep me alive. But there's a lot in here, and I'm still not sure how most of it works. So we're just going to start playing and see. Now, the setup is, I did my book flick, which is one of my favorite parts of these exercises. And that is where I picked up the Game Master's Guide and flicked through. Or rather, I went to the chapter list and saw artifacts. I went straight to that page, and the first one that came up was an artifact called the Arrows of the Fireworm. Now, these are some arrows that historically or legendarily there's a whole story about them here, but they were created by a volcano god. It is said that they will mark out the butchers of Azleen, which we will get back to possibly. Now, so I knew my starting scene was going to involve these arrows. I then flicked to a creature and came up with an abyss worm, which is like a very dune-like, cylindrical, massive worm thing. And they like come up under the ground and sort of suck people down. They dissolve their way through solid rock, and they mostly live underground. And so my plan to start was my character, whoever that was going to be, for whatever reason, was going to have something to do with the arrows and be facing an abyss worm. I then went and rolled up a character. I went with a half-elf female character, Aerwynn, and she is a little bit different than a lot of half-elves who, according to the book, shirk a lot of the old elven religion and ideals. She has always felt really connected to the elf part of her heritage. And all the characters in this game, they get a pride and a dark secret. And Aerwynn's pride is that she senses unnatural things before anyone else. And her dark secret is, only I know the will of the gods. So putting that sort of together, I came up with the idea. I also found the first major site that I want to go to, which is an abandoned castle called WeatherStone, which I will put a sticker on my map for once we get to that point and figure out what to do there. And so my idea was that this half-elf, she's older, she's 93, but she's a half-elf, so that still makes her an adult. And she has a protege. There is I had to roll up a relationship. And what I rolled was a slender oak. She needs my care, but will grow into something great. So I interpreted that as a protege, and I'm thinking like a young elven girl who... also rolling up in the Legends and Adventurers book, told me that she was a student. What did I say? Yeah, hard studies was the background. And so she did a lot of study about law and that kind of thing before going out into the real world and being taken under the wing of Aerwynn. She's a hunter. We'll get into all that sort of stuff, because a lot of it I haven't read about yet. And Aerwynn is a druid, so she has access to some natural magic. She's also stronger than the average druid or your average half-elf, I think. Her biggest stat is wits, followed by strength, then agility, and then empathy. A quirk of Aerwynn, and I'm not sure if I've talked about this before. I've heard other people say it, and it's really starting to become clear to me how effective it is to be reading or watching or consuming other narrative media while you're doing this stuff. I've been reading the Witcher books, and just came across a new character in that, and she was in my head, an elven character. She was in my head, and so this is kind of a little bit based on her. So she's quite strong. She's less agile than she used to be. She's very intelligent, not that empathetic. And her purpose, her mission is she comes from this larger forested area called the Dankwood, which is the biggest forest on the map up the north. And the Dankwood is kind of split into three parts by these two rivers, three main parts. My idea is that, and I didn't read all the background history and all that kind of thing. Do look it up if you're interested. It seems like a pretty rich history of the world. That will all come up as we keep going, but my idea was that the Dankwood used to be a really important elven forest, and it has been shrunk down to this, only this middle part is sort of the remaining stronghold of the elves and those who still believe in nature and magic, and demons and orcs and nasty things have sort of been encroaching in, particularly from the west, maybe the east and the west, and kind of force the elves back into the central part. Now, because Aerwynn, her dark secret is only I know the will of the gods, and this pride and dark secret thing, you can actually bring them into the role-playing and you'll get some benefits for XP and that kind of thing. In fact, for the pride, mine being I sense unnatural things before anyone, that actually gives you a really strong advantage when you're rolling on something that relates to that. We'll come into that if it comes into play. But her dark secret, only I know the will of the gods. I think that Aerwynn has found, Aerwynn and Semina, her protege, who she is teaching and training to be a hunter and a survivor and those kinds of things, they've come across the missing arrow. There was 3 of these arrows. 2 of them have relatively known locations, although they have not been recovered. The third one says was lost to time. And I think they found this arrow somewhere in the Dankwood or nearby, and Aerwynn is the only one who knows the will of the gods, and she's convinced that the reason these nasties are coming in and have been pushing back the elves for a long time is because the god Horn, I think his name is, the volcano god, is unhappy, and she feels like she needs to return these arrows to him in order to pacify the evils that are surrounding the Dankwood. She is going for this WeatherStone, which is where she wants to deliver the arrows, or maybe where she wants to find out more about where she can present these things to Horn or to this god or something like that. I think the WeatherStone is near Horn's volcano. I haven't actually been able to find Horn's volcano on the map. Anyway, I digress. So that's what happened. They've found this arrow. They're making their way to WeatherStone, and they are going to be attacked or fall into a cave that one of these worms, abyss worms, is in. Additionally, I've rolled up a second companion who is an Alderlander human. The Alderlanders came from the south and are sort of new to the area, and some still come. There still is a settlement down outside of the Forbidden Lands. And this Alderlander human used to be a squire and has gone out on his own to seek fortune and a new life. We're not sure why, for whatever reason, in the Forbidden Lands. And I think they're going to run into him. I think he's probably going to come in and help them escape or kill this abyss worm. But we'll see. Let's see what happens. So, setting the scene, let's roll our famous dice. This is also going to be the first time I'm using this kind of system. This system where you have a dice pool and sixes are successes. It's never appealed to me. I don't know why. Maybe I find D6s boring. I'm not sure. It's just never appealed to me. But I am excited to try it. I have my little pool of dice. I haven't bought anything extra special. I have a deck of cards, normal playing cards, which is to be used for the Oracle and events and that kind of thing, which is also pretty new. It's not rolling on a table, it's drawing cards. And I've got the initiative cards from Dragonbane because this uses a similar or exactly the same initiative system. So let's roll our sight, smell, sound, taste, touch, feel dice. That is a sight, smell, sound. So I think as they're making their way toward the edge of the western side of the Dankwood Forest, about to head out into the plains, I think she hears something. I think Aerwynn hears or feels she hears that it is too still. The birds have sort of stopped singing. It's just unnaturally still all of a sudden in this part of the forest. And she senses unnatural things before anyone. So I'm going to do, straight up, I'm going to use my pride to see if we can figure out what is coming and figure out, or at least where this thing is coming from, and maybe we can get the drop on it, or at least get out of the way. So the abyss worm says that they are blind but have pronounced senses that react to sounds and regular vibrations from the ground, for example, footsteps. The best way to protect oneself if hunted is to climb a tree or look for a cliff. The problem is that these attacks often come from below as a total surprise. So let's do this pride check. I think we're going to have to roll... Is it insight? Is it survival? Let's see what survival says. So insight is specifically about being able to read other people and see through lies and deceit. So I'm looking at survival now. The Forbidden Lands are dangerous ground where wild beasts roam the land. The ignorant can lose their lives by choosing the wrong path, drinking from the wrong water source. You can roll on survival in a number of different situations when you're traveling in the wilderness. Let's roll on survival. So the way that this works, I look at my survival skill, which I have 3. That's happy. That is going to give me 3 skill dice. In my case, I've chosen green for the skill dice. I then look at the attribute that is tied to, which is wits, and my wits is 5. So this is really, really a great start. And then if I was using gear, I would add some other dice for gear. I also get to use my D12 because this is using my pride. You get to bring in your D12. Anything over a 6 counts as a success. An 8 is 2 successes. 10 is 3. 12 is 4. So I'm going to roll this big chunky pile of dice and see what we get. So she is trying to see if she can figure out whatever it is, where it's coming from. She can maybe feel some of the vibrations herself. And we get 1, 2, 3, 4 successes. So it's a 6 on a pride die and then 3 normal dice. I didn't roll any 1s. If you roll a 1, you have to keep them, and they don't do anything negative unless you choose to push your roll, which is basically giving yourself a reroll, in which case they become damage or harm or something in some way. So 4 successes. You only need 1 success to be successful at the thing. Additional successes outside of combat, inside combat, additional successes contribute to extra damage. Outside of combat, they contribute to a better outcome, an even better outcome. So with 4 successes, that's pretty huge, pretty good. We're going to be in a very favorable position when this thing comes out of the ground. So I think immediately Aerwynn freezes and looks over at her protege and motions for her to freeze as well, and gives a little signal for her to climb up a tree. The Semina is an archer as well. So we're going to want to get her up a tree, and we're going to try and set a trap. We might have even been hunting this. Let's use our first oracle check and see if we were hunting this because we'd heard that it was in the area on our way through. Now, oracles. Yes, no oracle. Rule number 1 is go with your gut. If you're not sure of the odds, they're 50-50, only draw 1 card. This is 50-50. It's yes or no, basically. Black is no, and red is yes. The higher the number, the better it is. So we're going to draw. We draw an 8 of diamonds. So that is red. 4 to 10. Yes, higher numbers are more definitive. So this is pretty definitive. We were on our way. Perhaps we passed through a little camp on the way here, and we met some people, and they had just survived, or some of them survived from an attack from this thing, and we knew it was in the area. And throughout the remainder of our stretch through the western parts of the Dankwood Forest, we were going to hunt this thing. So we know it's here. That means that we can try and set a little bit of a trap for it. So we freeze immediately. We're pretty sure that this is what it is. And Aerwynn sort of bends down and touches her fingers onto the ground and gets a sense for where the vibrations are. And she can feel this thing sort of moving around, looking for them. And it stops as they stop. And so she knows exactly where it is. She motions for Semina to climb up a tree, and we're going to set a trap for this thing. So Amina is up this tree on a branch, very lithe and slender, leaning up against a tree, basically melts into the scenery because, elf in the forest. And Aerwynn gets up on a rock, on a high rock that's nearby, and she sort of picks out a spot that they want this creature to come up through. So she picks this spot, and it's basically going to be I'm going to do it as a sneak attack because of this huge success that we had. Going to do it as a sneak attack so that we've misdirected this worm. It's going to pop out of somewhere. We're going to hail it with arrows and try and jump down and get in with Aerwynn's dagger. She is a knife fighter. But she also loves bows. She just doesn't have a bow at the moment. It was broken or some reason. So, let me look up how surprise works. Okay, so this just says that you draw 2 initiative cards and choose which one of the 2 you want. Instead of that, I'm just going to give us a free attack on this thing before we go into normal initiative. Something that I didn't find in the rules at all was how monsters work. I mean, it looks pretty self-explanatory. All of the combat rules that I've read talk about how you are damaged, but there wasn't anything I specifically saw about monsters. For example, this is a young worm. It has a strength of 14. Usually it is your strength or agility stat that is the thing that gets chipped away as you get damaged, and if you get down to 0, something bad happens. So it has a strength of 14 and agility of 2. Now, my first thought is, because I know that if you get something to 0, it gets a critical injury. So my first thought would be, how could we get this thing's agility down? But it doesn't say how I can affect agility. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. We're just going to keep moving. Now, something worth noticing here is it has an armor rating of 4. Not sure what that means. Maybe this one doesn't have armor because we're solo and we're brand new. I don't have any armor. Maybe it has been weakened by, let's say it's been weakened by the last fight against the camp that we came across, and we are going to lose its armor rating, and we are going to just ignore its armor rating. A, because I haven't looked that up, and B, I don't think we're strong enough to fight this otherwise, and we do want to take it down. It's been weakened. I've decided it has 0 armor. I'm going to draw the oracle to see if it has been weakened any further in this last attack. And that is a black king. So that is pretty high. That means pretty much no. So it has the full 14 strength. We may need to run away from this one, I'm not sure. However, it does have a weak mouth cavity, and attack aimed at the mouth will suffer it suffers a -2 penalty, but it's not protected by any armor. I'm going to make that double damage because we don't have any armor anyway. I know. I'll get the rules right later once I keep playing. So, we get a free shot on. I think what we do is Aerwynn picks up a rock and she sort of heaves it over somewhere in a desirable position where they want this thing to come up from. And she does that. She signals for Semina to be ready, and that's what she does. And this worm sort of like, they look at this bare patch of ground, and it just kind of dissolves and just falls away into this quite large hole, the rock going with it, as this thing pops up out of the ground. And that's when Aerwynn gives the signal for Semina to shoot. So Semina's going to shoot. It says with companions they usually don't roll necessarily. I am not sure how I'm going to handle companions yet. At the moment, I've got them set up as like a half a character. So we're going to roll. We're totally going to roll and see what kind of damage that she can do. She is doing a ranged shot using her marksman skill of 2, plus the agility of 3 is 5, and her bow gives her plus 2 dice and 1 damage for each success. So that was a 5, 6, 7 dice. So 3 basic, 2 skill, 2 bonus. Okay, and we have... This is interesting. We have 1 success and a single 1, 2 ones. So I could push this roll. However, I don't want to do that just yet. This is something I don't really have a feel for the probability with a handful of d6. I mean, there is a chart in here that says exactly what the chances are, but I feel like humans, are really bad at understanding percentages in probability. You think like, 50-50, that's a really good chance. No, it's kind of not. So we have 1 hit. That means she's going to be doing 1 damage. Because she hits it in the mouth, that's going to be 2 damage to this thing. Then Aerwynn is going to get a shot in. She leaps down. Because of where she's positioned it, she's made sure that she also has a solid surface to be running around. So she's maybe continuing along the rocks, where she can maybe jump down just for a second and get in with her knife. So she is planning to get in with a knife and then jump back to safety. On your turn, you can do a slow action and a fast action. The fast action would be move or run, I think, which is just within a small space. You can either move from just out of reach to at arm's reach. So I can't remember exactly what it's called. That's what we're going to do. We're going to move in. We are rolling on our knife skill. Knife gives us +1 gear. It is strength, which is going to be 4 basic dice. And there's going to be melee, which is an additional 1 skill dice. So we're going to see, can we hurt this bugger? And we get no successes. I'm going to push this roll because I didn't roll any ones, and that's the doorbell. So now we're going to look at pushing the roll. And I'm pretty sure I remember what that is. You get to roll everything again other than 6s and 1s. 6s will be extra successes, and 1s will be negative. Okay, so what do we have? We had 1, 5, 6 dice to roll. And we are pushing it. That's better. So we get no 1s. Excellent. And we get 2 6s. That would be 2 damage, but since it's also in the mouth, that's going to be an additional 4 damage, and we are making some headway on this worm. 6 hit points down, 8 to go. And now we're going to draw initiative, and it's going to get a chance to fight back. It draws a 5, Aerwynn draws an 8, and Semina draws a 3. So Semina is going to go first. She is going to take another shot. She is a usage die with a d12. I don't know if I do that after a battle or after... I think we'll do it after a battle. But the usage die are actually built into this game, which is nice. First game, it's actually been part of the rules and I haven't just been bringing it in. So she is going to take another shot with her bow. That makes it 3 base dice, 2 skill dice, and 2 gear dice. Getting absolutely no 6s. She is going to push that roll, but she does have a 1. So something is going to happen, and I will read up just because I want to show you what happens. Not because I am really impatient, I want to kill this thing. Oh dear. Okay, no more successes, but no more 1s. So that is slightly negative. Okay, so what's happened is I've rolled a 1. Actually, I used the wrong colored dice, so I don't know if it was a gear dice or a base dice. Let's see. Was it a base dice? Yes, it was. So that means that she is going to suffer 1 point of damage to her agility, because that is the base score that was being used. So I'm going to mark 1 on that. That means she's down to 2 agility. This is sort of not good. Luckily, we have a healer in the party. Okay, and so what happened is, as she saw Aerwynn get in and sort of do a stabbing motion inside the creature's mouth, and then step back and jump back up onto the rock. She took her shot and she's starting to get nervous now. The first shot she just did instinctually. Now that she's had a bit of time to see how foul and dangerous looking this creature is, she's starting to sort of freak out a little bit. And so she overdrew her bow a little bit, and with a really rookie error from an elf, it slapped her in the back of the left hand, reducing her agility just a little bit. So that was her turn. We didn't get to do any damage, and now it is going to be the first monster turn. That monster is going to roll a d6 attack chart, a bit like in Crown and Skull. Rolling a 6, the ground shatters. The abyss worm dives into the ground and uses its mass to shatter the ground around the adventurers. Everyone within near range falls 2d6 meters and lands prone. So our plans have gone awry a little bit, and our entire advantageous position has been destroyed. The ground crumbles underneath it. It was clearly riddled with tunnels underneath the ground here from this beast. And it is not happy, and it has basically brought everything crashing down. Now, Semina wasn't within near range. She was up the tree a little bit further away, but Aerwynn does fall down into this hole in the ground now, basically, which is still light. She doesn't actually have a torch, although maybe I should go back in time and buy a torch. And she falls down, and now she's down there with the worm together. She's prone, so I think that's going to be a quick action to stand. I hope it's going to be a quick action to stand. Yeah, stand up. Rise from prone to a standing stance. Close combat attacks. Okay, good. So we get to do our quick action, our fast action to stand up, and then we're going to stab with our knife again. Are we... okay, so we can't move. Did we land within arm's reach of the worm? No, we did not. But it's a 3, so it's pretty close. So we would need to stand and move in order to get within range of this thing. So I think we're going to stand, and then we are going to move, but we're going to move in the other direction. So we're going to just move backwards so that we are now near to the enemy. No, sorry, we are near, we're not within arm's reach. So we're going to move back a zone and try and sort of bait it towards us a little bit. However, that does mean walking backwards through a dark tunnel. So we're not going to go too far away, but that's what we're going to do. And we want to try, what she's thinking is she wants to try and keep this worm within sight of Semina up the tree so she can still get a shot in. So that's what we do. And we have a new round of combat. Excellent. So it's 3, 5, 6 our way. We're both going before it. So I think now we're not being cautious anymore. We are really just hammering on with it. And she yells up as she starts to move back. She yells up and she says, "Take another shot. I'm going to try and get out of here." Not sure that's what she says. She says, "Quick, shoot." Or similar. So that means that that Semina is going to get another shot in. Now she only has 2 agility dice to roll, if I understand correctly. And she has 2 marksmanship dice and 2 gear dice. I'm going to get the right colored die now so that I don't make that mistake again. So 2 agility base die, 2 marksmanship skill die, and 2 gear die for her longbow. Let's get a good hit. I really want to see some damage here. I think there's no way she can aim for the mouth anymore. And we get 3 1s and a 6. So we're just going to have to keep that and not push it and just go with the single damage. But it is something. I am going to start asking soon, especially if the combat isn't going our way, if our Alderlander human comes in and hears the kerfuffle and comes in to help out. Next is Aerwynn again. I don't know if she's going to try and get out of here, if she's going to go up with her knife. I feel like the knife is a pretty slow way to kill this thing. So she looks around. I'm going to ask the Oracle, is there anything in here that could be used to our advantage? And we get a pretty high no. So it's dark behind her. She doesn't know which tunnel to go down. She doesn't know if there's other worms down there. She needs to stay in here and fight, unfortunately. So she is going to go up. She's going to do a move action to get up, and she's going to try and get it in the mouth again. She knows that they're very sensitive in the mouth, and she's going to go up and try and get it in the mouth again. I'm just going to ask the Oracle, is she able to position herself to get it in the mouth. That's a high no. So she's not going to be able to do that. She's just going to run up and see if she can hurt it a little bit more. We are now rolling still 1 melee skill dice, 4 base strength dice, and a single gear dice. Not doing double damage. Come on here. And we get 1 success and 2 ones, so I'm not going to roll. I'm not going to push that roll, unfortunately. So we do another single damage, and this is slow going. It is now the creature's turn again, and they are going to roll a 5, which is a sweeping attack. The worm uses its long body to make a sweeping attack that hits all adventurers within near range. Roll for the attack with 7 base dice and weapon damage 1 blunt force. If it hits, the victim is also thrown to the ground. I'm going to try a reactive dodge here. I don't know if I can do it. Hang on. If I can do it now because I've already done both my actions, or it's going to take from my next action. I don't know. I feel like it should be in the same round. So I think we're just going to have to take it. This could be really bad. Let me look up dodging again quickly. Yeah, so they count towards your 2 available actions in the round. Okay, so we can't dodge this one. Well, this is worrying. So, what did it say? It says they're going to roll 7 base dice. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And a gear dice. That is only 1 success. Okay, good. So that is going to do... So this thing... She gets in with her knife and she does just a little bit of damage, and this thing freaks out and swings its tail around and does a sweeping attack, and if the attack hits, the victim is thrown to the ground. So we get knocked, I lose 1 strength point, and get knocked to the ground. This is bad. Is our hunter friend going to come in and save the day? Black King. No, he's not. Okay, I'm going to ask that every round now. So it is now a new round. We're going to draw initiative again. This is looking kind of bad. We have... God, how many? We've done 8 points of damage. We have 6 left to do. We really need to get this thing in the mouth, or we need to get out of here somehow. I don't have a rope. I don't have any way to climb out of here, I don't think. Let me see. Does the surface look climbable in here? That is a 7, so it does look climbable. That maybe gives us some little chance. So let's draw initiative again, and then we're going to continue with this. Let's draw initiative again and see if we can get onto more favorable ground. 2, 3, 9. That means it is going first. It is going to attack us before we have a chance to do anything. At least I can try and dodge, but this is getting a little bit hairy. Aha, so as usual, 1 page away from where I was, there is a description of how monsters work. At the beginning of the bestiary, dangerous beasts prowl the woods and the valleys of the Forbidden Lands. A monster is a creature not of the natural world, a monstrosity terrorizing the land, breaking the natural order of things. Okay, so they're controlled by the game master. They perform like NPCs in combat. Haven't read about how NPCs... If they lack stats, they can't, like wits and empathy, they can't be manipulated. And the monster attacks has a unique set summarized on a table. The GM can roll the dice or select an attack. A monster attacks is a slow action over a range of arm's length. Each success rolled beyond the first one increases the damage done by 1. Rolls for monster attacks cannot be pushed. And they don't become weaker when they're wounded. The monster's strength is only used to determine how much damage the monster can take before it's broken. A broken monster is dead or dying. Don't roll for critical injury. Okay, cool. So we just need to get it down to 0. So it is the monster's turn. This abyss worm. Aerwynn is lying on the ground, having been knocked prone, and this monster is going to come upon her. It rolls a 3, which is the sky darkens. The giant worm rises into the sky and blocks the sun with its huge mass, then lets its body fall onto the adventurers to crush them. Have everyone roll for move to get out of the way. Doesn't count as an action. Everyone within near range is thrown to the ground. Anyone who fails their move roll is also hit by an attack. with 12 base. Holy crap. Okay. I don't know if I can move. I'm going to say that I can try and roll out of the way and call that a move. I'm not going to look that up right now. We're going to see if I can do that. So, my move action is going to be just my agility, which means I'm only going to have 3 dice. This is not great at all. That is 1 hit, 12 base dice, and weapon damage 1. Holy cow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to have to roll 2 more. Oh, and that's a lot of 6s. Okay, so there is 1, 2, 3, 4 6s. Okay, so this thing rises up into the air and blots out the sun that is coming through the opening at the top of the ground, the hole in the ground, and it just comes and slams down on Aerwynn before she can get out of the way, doing 4 damage to her agility. She only has 3. That takes us down to 0. You know, it says in the book, when you're playing solo, it's nice to have a companion, because if the main character dies, then the companion can take over. This might be the beginning of that story. Now, let's see what happens when we get broken. I did hear this was a deadly game. Broken. You collapse from exhaustion. You can only crawl and wheeze. Now, it's got to be to my strength, doesn't it? Because, yeah. So, scratch that. And we take the 3 damage to the strength, also taking us to 0. Now, we're going to get to try out one of our talents now. I haven't spoken about talents. You get a number of talents based on your kin and your profession, and some that you choose yourself. My kin talent is psychic power, which means that when I use willpower points for casting magic and the like, the first one I spend is worth 2. That's good, hasn't helped us yet. The second one is a boya, not sure, which means that she is into making bows, which means she can craft ranged weapons, which is cool. Also, this character from the book, she loves her bow. There's a whole 2 pages on the design of the bow that she's been looking for. She's also lucky, which means that she can re-roll on the crit table. Now, this is going to be important because we are going to need to roll a critical injury right about now. This is a blunt force. We're going to roll a D66. Grey and black, the grey being the 10s. Anything over a 54 is lethal. That is a 34. That's fine. That is a groin hit. Ouch. 34 in the groin. 1 point of damage suffered at every move or melee roll, I guess, until I heal. And it's a D6 healing time. I don't know what healing time means yet, but I'm going to make a note of that. So we are in trouble. Our idea of climbing up out of this is not going to work. I really need the help of our yet to be named Alderlander human. Let's see if he comes now. Now would be the time, buddy. Flipping a card here, and it is red. So yes, he does come in to help. I'm going to draw an initiative card for him. He's coming in at 8. So let's roll our sense die again. This is sight, smell, touch. Aerwynn is suddenly intensely aware of the feeling of the dirt beneath her fingers as she curls up in pain from this thing just crushing her. And as this happens, she hears a shout, and down into the hole. Well, it's not his turn yet, but it will be next. So it's our turn first. We're going to do our fast action to get up. We're not going to move. We know that we can't get out of here. The thing is lying next to us, and so we're just going to jump down and get it in the mouth. Now we can get it in the mouth, I'm sure. We're going to jump at the mouth with the knife, knowing that our only chance is to take this thing out so that I can cast a healing spell on myself. Oh, maybe I can do the healing now. Let me see. She's not going to do that just yet, however. She's going to shout that she's in trouble, and she's going to jump in with her knife because we really just need to try and finish this thing off. We're going to do everything that it takes. She stands up, which doesn't count as a move, I don't think. No, it doesn't count as a move. So it does say the prone targets are modified plus 2. So you could have even rolled 2 more dice. I'm just not going to do that right now. So we stand up and we're going to get in with our knife at a last-ditch attempt in the thing's mouth. And maybe, just maybe, the 3 of us can finish this thing off before it finishes off Aerwynn, before she's even gotten started. So, we're going to roll with our knife. We have 0 strength. Oh crap, that's not worth it. We're better heal. Otherwise, we'd only be rolling 3 dice, which is a pretty low chance to do any damage. Okay, we're going to heal. So, I could chancing above the rank of my talent, but it comes with an automatic random magic mishap. I don't have any willpower points. And just as I said that, a very ominous sound came in my backing music. Okay, so we are going to attack. We're only rolling 3 dice. That is 1 skill dice, 2 gear dice, and just a last-ditched, desperate attempt in this thing's mouth. I really, really want to see a success. We do not see a success. However, we don't see any failures, so I am going to push that roll. And we still don't get any successes or any failures. So I think she tries to stand up and she tries to get at the thing's mouth. And as she stands up and goes to attack, she realizes the pain that she's in and she doubles back over again. Her turn is now over. And as she does this, she hears a shout from above saying, "Look out!" And up from the surface of the hole jumps down this figure. She can't get a good look at him, but he jumps down and he has a spear. And he is a short spear. I've got to look up what that is. So, +1 bonus, one-handed, 1 damage. That means he is rolling with a strength of 4, melee of 3. Is it? +1 for the spear. So he's rolling... Okay, good. So 4 plus 3 is 7. And then for his gear, he's going to get +2 more. He's going to get 9 because of he has a talent, which is spear fighting. I can't remember if that adds +1. I'm going to guess it does, but I'm just going to look that up quickly. +1 when you attack with a spear. Okay, so that's going to be 4 for his strength, 3 for his melee, 2 for his spear. So that makes 7. Okay. Can he get the thing in the mouth? I don't think so. He's jumping down from above. And he rolls a single success, a couple of 1s, but I am going to push the roll because there's 1 on the gear, which means the spear might get damaged. I'm okay with that. The other one is a skill dice, and they don't actually count as misses, or as banes, I think they're called. So we're going to push that roll, and we do not get another 6, but we don't get any more either. I really don't have a feel for the probability on this stuff. So he's coming down, and he is doing 1 damage to the creature as he jumps down and skewers it at the end of his fall. And just at the same moment, our little protege, Semina, is also going to take a shot. She's also going to push this roll. It'll be slightly bad for her, but we need to give it everything we've got at this stage. Yes, and we get another success. So, we have 2 1s here. The 2 successes means that we're going to do 2 damage to the thing, leaving it with only 3 hit points. We might survive, I'm not sure. Now, what happens with the 1s? The base stat 1, the base die 1, is going to reduce her agility by 1 because she used the marksmanship ability. Her agility is now down to 1. And the gear die means that she is going to... it's going to damage her bow. So I think she pulls back so hard that this thing, she hears it creak, or maybe just the slight silky sound as the bowstring sort of frays back. She's really stressed out. She hasn't actually been in the heat of combat before. She's done plenty of hunting, but she's just seen her master, basically, or her trainer, almost get completely taken out. Someone random has come in and she's just done something wrong, and it's weakened the bow somehow. So the weapon's bonus is decreased by 1, and if it gets to 0, then it's broken and needs repairing. Okay, new round, and we really, really, really need to get the initiative on this one. So left to right here, as I deal them out on the table, is going to be Aerwynn, then Mystery Man, then Worm, then Semina. So Aerwynn is 6. Mystery Man is 7. Oh dear. Worm is 5. But at least Semina is 1. Maybe she can distract it somehow. I'm not really sure. We only have 3 hit points to do. She's not going to do that much damage. Okay. I'm going to ask the Oracle, does the creature rear up, exposing its mouth? Jack. Jack is good. A red jack is good. Let me see. Okay, yes, but with some complication. I think the complication is, yes, she can get the shot in, but our mystery man is also very near the mouth, hanging on with his spear that is skewered through this thing, and if she misses, there is a chance, based on the Oracle, that she actually hits him. So she is going to go first. She is now not even rolling as much. She's only rolling one base die, 1 gear die, and 2 skill dice. This is not a good chance of success, but it will be double damage. If we were to get 2 6s here, we could do it. And we get 0 6s. So we are going to push that roll again. We need this. 1 6, no failures. That's okay. I will take it. That is going to be 2 damage to this thing, which is now at 10, 11. It has 1 hit point left. And it is going to get 1 more turn before it happens. Now, let's see who it is attacking. It's difficult for it to attack the guy that is sticking out of him, but maybe it's going to try and shake him off. I'm going to draw. If it's black, it's going for Aerwynn. If it's red, it's going for the other guy. I'm going to pick a move that makes sense to try and shake him off. Here we go on the Oracle. It is red. Excellent. So it is going to... I can either do an Unearthly Roar, which we're going to be a fear attack on us. Yeah, that sounds okay. Can't do a Devouring attack, Sweeping attack. The Ground Shatter is not going to work. So that's the only one that makes sense to me. An Unearthly Roar. The beast lets out a horrible roar that strikes all adventurers within near range with a fear attack of 5 base dice. Fear attacks are terrifying from the horrifying beasts that lurk in the shadows, and each success rolled causes 1 point of damage to wits. Okay, so let's see what it does here. A complete miss would be nice, just for bookkeeping's sake. Oops, I dropped one. That is 1 success. So everybody takes 1 damage to their wits. But now we have a chance to finish this thing off. And next in line is our archer again. She is going to... Okay, let's see what she is feeling. Sight, smell, sound. So she hears this roar and it chills her to the bone, and she knows that she has to do something now, or the life of her master, trainer, what do we call them? Mentor. The life of her mentor is going to be ended by this big worm unless she can make this shot. She is rolling with a single gear die and 2 skill die. We need just a single 6. And we have that 6. So she shudders and she fights the urge to just run away. But she thinks back to all the times that Aerwynn has saved her life and all the things she's done for it, and she calms herself. She remembers her words. She draws back the bow, lets out a breath, and she shoots. And the aim is true. It skewers the thing just in the head, and the thing rears up in the air, throwing the mystery man off to the side, and then collapses onto the ground. And all is still. The other thing I found in the book was a page on the god Horn, who is the volcano god, and he was the god of the Asleans. And the Asleans were a race of humans, or are, I'm not sure, who are from the west, past the impenetrable mountains that surround the western and northern and southern side of the map, making us trapped in the Forbidden Lands. And they used to worship this god Horn, and they believed that he brought destruction through the fiery volcano stuff, but that ash and destruction also provided nutrients for things to get sort of green again. And I think the destination, as I may have said, that Aerwynn and Semina are headed for is WeatherStone, which is an abandoned castle that they heard, or she saw a vision or something like that, or had the feeling, because only she knows the will of the gods, that there is a way, a secret entrance from there through to the Amber Mountain, I think it's called, which is where Horn lives. The chapter also mentions, or the section in the book also mentions, that there is word of a new prophet of Thorn, whose name I've forgotten. And so maybe that will become important as well. I actually don't think that there's a passage going from there through to the volcano, but I think Aerwynn thinks there is. Perhaps she wants to appease the gods so that they can cover this side of the land with fire and burn all the evil in the dank wood and let it regrow and reforest. I'm not sure. So she is pretty hurt. Aerwynn is pretty hurt. Happily, we were rescued by our nameless Alderlander. I guess it is now time to give him a name. Looking in the classic table fables here, let's see if we can find a name. Ooh, appearance generator. Yeah, let's do that for fun. So we have a D10. So he's a muscular dude. I think he's sort of young. He's not as young as Semina, but he's not nearly as old as Aerwynn. And she is skeptical. Although she is half human, she's not a big fan of the humans, and she does tend more to the elven traditions outside of that Aslini god. So we're in pretty rough shape. Oh, we didn't even find a name. Let's go back and find a name. I always get excited by the tables in all these books. So D100 for a name, and we are coming up with a male name, which is 41, which is Greem. Not sure I like Greem. Let's go with Gaian. G-A-I-A-N. Gaian. So I think what happens is Semina rushes down from the tree and makes haste to climb down, carefully climb down this, the walls of the cave-in part of the cave. And she wants to get Aerwynn out of there as soon as possible because they don't know if there's other dangers lurking in this cave. And so she lithely jumps down, and she is less, I think she's more trusting maybe, and so she's less wary of this guy who's come in, and she says, "Oh, thank you so much. Without your help, we wouldn't have been able to do it." And I'm just going to get a sense for what... Actually, no, we're going to do that once Aerwynn gets back up again. And he says, "Yeah, well, lucky I was here. I was out, I was on my way trekking." What was he doing? Let's ask what he was doing. Let's find our oracle again. I know he's going to WeatherStone too. I think he's out there looking for treasure, because he's going to WeatherStone too, which means it makes sense that they're going to travel together. But I want to know what he was doing in the forest at the moment. Now, wrong book. I was looking in the solo rules in the Book of Beasts here, and although I don't need a lot more beasts just yet, there is an alternate tables for random encounters, which will be useful later. There's an alternate talent, which is Alchemist, which I'm totally going to take, and Aerwynn is going to make potions and things. I think that goes with her druidic nature. She can make poisons as well, and that's something I'm excited to get into. But for now, let's find a oracle and see if this... I haven't used this oracle yet for this kind of prompt thing, so let's just see how it works. For some reason, frustratingly, the other books have a ribbon bookmark. This one doesn't. Don't know why you would do that, or maybe mine's just missing one. Let me know if your Book of Beasts book has a ribbon. Do let me know. Okay, here we go. Theme oracle. At times you may wonder at a situation you find yourself in. General encounter, more information from an NPC. Draw a card and then draw a second card if it's not clear. And treat one as a minor theme. So the first theme we're going with is a 7 of Hearts, which is illusion. Maybe he had a vision too. Let's see what else we get. We get a 2 of Diamonds, which is balance. So I think he also had a feeling. He had a feeling that on his way to WeatherStone, where he is going to try and get some treasure, on his way there, he just had a feeling, an illusion, maybe not quite a prophecy or a dream or something like that, but he just had the feeling that he should go a little bit off track and to the north. And he just followed his nose, and this is what he's explaining to Semina. He just followed his feet and felt the vibrations as this giant worm came crashing into the ground, nearly killing our poor heroine. So she says, without any hesitation, Semina, we're going to WeatherStone on a mission, And he says, well, that is coincidence because I'm also going to WeatherStone. Perhaps we can heal up your mentor and we can all go together. So I think at this stage, Aerwynn is still passed out, and we're going to do a healing roll just so we can try out how that works. So recovery says that recovering from broken, the fastest way is to get someone to roll a healing check on you. Has to be performed at arm's length. If it's successful, you immediately recover a number of points equal to the successes. If no one helps, within D6 hours, you recover anyway. So we will recover, but we're going to... that's what we're going to do. It was morning, by the way, and we are going to heal a little bit just so we can try the healing roll, and then we're going to just make camp there and rest until Aerwynn is fit enough to travel again. Let's roll for what Aerwynn is experiencing as she comes up. Sight, smell. So everything's gone black for her, and then she can smell. The smell is the first thing that comes into her consciousness, and it's just this smell of musty, damp dirt and blood in the air. Or I don't know if this thing had blood, worm blood. Ichor maybe is a cheap getaway for monsters. And she can smell this, and she sort of, reality comes rushing back to her, and she goes and sits up and immediately tenses in defense as she sees this other figure and says, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" And he explains the same thing, and she says, "Well, we didn't need your help. We were doing totally fine." And he sort of smiles wryly at her and says, Yes, I'm sure you were." And so anyway, they help Aerwynn out of the hole. They manage to get her out there, and they are going to try and make camp in this forest. Now, let me just look up the rules for making camp. Okay, so you usually do it in the evening. We're going to make camp now and give Aerwynn enough time to heal. So we're going to go back to the evening of the same day. I think they've done a little bit of scavenging, maybe. They've sort of cleared a little spot. And now Aerwynn is going to make a survival roll in order to make camp, and the other two are going to help her. So for her survival roll, she is going to get 3 skill dice, 5 base dice, so that's already 8, and then she's going to get +2. So that's 10 dice they're going to get to roll for this survival. Okay, and that is a bunch of 1s, but also 2 6s. So that is enough for a success. We don't need to push anything. If your roll succeeds, you find a sheltered and comfortable place to spend the night, where you can all rest up before the next day's journey. So I think maybe they sort of near this hole, or maybe they get away from the hole a little bit, and they find a little clearing in the forest. Actually, there is some more descriptive stuff about camping in the Beasts of Books that I just read earlier. Pretty sure these are dark forests, by the way. Here we go. Camps. Forests. Lovely. D6. I'm going to roll a green one because we're in the forest. That is a 3, and it says that we find a murmuring brook. It says a murmuring brook is your company for the night. So she limps along, and they find not too far away, there's a sort of secluded little rise so that they can sit down with their backs to the rise. Maybe there's a little overhang, a little rock overhang next to a river, which is going to hide their fire. Not that it's too visible in a forest anyway. And they make a little fire under that overhang and sit down by the rock and start to sort of cook up some food and stuff. Now I get to roll usage die for the arrows that Semina used before. And we roll a 2, so we actually do go down. She used more arrows than she thought. And we're going to need to repair her her longbow. That's something else we can do now. So her arrows go down to a D10. We're going to assume that all the food is in Aerwynn's hands, just for sake of her being the main character. And she currently has a D8 worth of food and a D8 worth of water. I'm not going to roll for water because we're next to a lovely bubbling brook. But I will roll the D8 for the food, and we roll a 4, so we're fine. We have plenty of food. We're now going to make a crafting roll to see if we can repair the bow. And I think here, Aerwynn, as she starts feeling better as the afternoon wears on, she's already starting to feel a lot better, and she sees Semina sort of fiddling with her bow and looking unhappy about it, and she says, "Did you do something to it? Give that to me." Now, Aerwynn, as I said, is a very keen boyer, and I must look up how that's pronounced. And so she is very keen. She knows everything there is. Well, she doesn't know everything. She's a bow enthusiast. If there were bow magazines in this world, she would be a subscriber. And she says, here, give me that. I can fix that. There's nothing too seriously wrong there. So let's look at crafting. Man, do I love crafting. I don't think there's anything to look up unless we fail. So we're just going to do a straight crafting roll. So that's based on her strength, which is actually now only 1. It's been another 2 quarter days. Let me look at recovery again. Because it was still morning when we did this. We then had 2 more quarter days and it's now evening. Okay, you recover all of your remaining lost attribute points by resting or sleeping for a quarter day. So she's already rested. And it's now evening time. She has all her stats back. So she gets 4 base die for strength for the crafting. And then she's going to get 1 skill die. And that's it. She's also going to get help from Semina, as she's sort of showing her to do it. She's teaching her how to do it a bit. That is unfortunately no successes, but there's also no 1s. So can we push that roll? I don't see why not. Wow, and then we have 3. Oh, we get... Okay. So we get 3 successes, which is excellent. So the bow is back to full strength. However, we also get 2 1s on the base die. Now, that would reduce our strength, but we're going to rest overnight again anyway, so I'm not even going to bother marking that. Okay, so someone needs to stand guard in the camp for the evening, and I think Gaia offers to keep watch, but Aerwynn says, no, I don't think so. We don't know you at all. I'll keep guard, which means she is actually going to lose those 2 strength points for now. I'm sure we'll get it back soon. And she is sleepy. So she didn't get to rest. Maybe she does. Sorry, she does get to rest, but she doesn't get to sleep. She's not going to become sleepy because you need to sleep 1 quarter day of each day. And she did sleep that quarter day. She rested for 1 quarter, she slept for a quarter, and then she stayed up and kept watch. So we're all good. She's not sleepy. We're going to set off in the morning towards the direction of WeatherStone. And I think that while Aerwynn is not super keen on having this stranger come with them, she can appreciate that it is a lot more dangerous out here than she thought it was outside the safer confines of the Dankwood. And so she sort of grumbles about it, but she quietly is kind of pleased to have someone there with an extra weapon. Now, in the Book of Beasts, there is also, in the solo mode, or the solo rules, there is a revised procedure of a day of traveling. So I'm just going to go through that procedure one by one. We're going to travel a few hexes. I think we're going to make our way all the way to WeatherStone, and then we're going to end this session here, and then I will keep playing. As always happens, the story is always growing and changing, and that's the wonderful thing about solo RPGs. Now, a few thoughts on this. This is probably the most difficult game that I've pulled off my shelf to try and actually play, or at least required sort of the most work from me. I've been recording this now over a couple of days, just sitting down for a little bit at a time. It's just that there's a lot to it. There's a lot of tables in different places. I'm flicking between 3 different books and a pamphlet. What I'd really like, I think, is a nice summary of some of these actions. Things like leading the way, pathfinding, making camp, resting, all those kinds of things. And I'm sure that I will start to internalize a lot of that stuff as I go on. So that's kind of why this has been quite a long experience, recording time, and probably a lot longer than the eventual length of the episode. I'm still not sure how I feel about this, I think it's Mutant Year Zero system where you roll a dice pool of D6s and come up. I'm starting, I don't know about warming to it, I'm starting to dislike it less, I think. Although, I don't know, I feel like I don't have a grasp of what those odds are, and I really do like rolling 1 or 2 dice and just seeing that number I'm looking for, beating or getting under. But I'm not sure. I think the other thing I have forgotten to do is give myself willpower points when I do roll 1s and push a roll. So I'm going to give myself a few willpower points to move on and see how that part of the system plays into it. It's a bit like that, yes, there's failure and you get damage, but you get willpower points. And I want to see how that flow affects or how that push and pull affects the flow of the action and the success rate in the game. So I'm really excited to keep playing. I'm going to continue playing this ahead. If you want to listen to the future playthroughs of this as our adventurers make their way around the Forbidden Lands, you can head over to Solo RolePlayers Patreon, and there you can find, I have a single tier there, which is, you will be able to vote on some of the games, or which games that I continue playing, and maybe some of the stuff that comes on the main show. But I'm also going to put there, at least once a month, continued plays that I've been going beyond these first episodes. If it's not obvious, this is PJ from the future here. I've actually played another 6 or 7 sessions of this at this point, and the second part of this, the second session, is now up over on my Patreon. If you want to head over there, you can go to Patreon/Solo RolePlayers, or just search for it over there. You can sign up, you can get into the Discord, which should be live by now, and you can get in direct contact with me and the little burgeoning community we have growing over there. I also have continued playthroughs of Starforged and Whitebox up already, and there'll be 1 or 2 more coming every month for the paid tier there. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. Otherwise, you can get in touch with me as usual at solorolePlayers@gmail.com, or you can find PJ Sack somewhere on Reddit or on Blue Sky. Until next time then, I will be getting another game off my shelf, talking to another content creator, or pulling out another idea that I have for a different format for this show. And until then, keep playing games, get stuff off your shelf, and continue to explore all those worlds that exist just on the edge of reality in your head. Bye!